Hi middle one, our lesson today is about probability. Definition of sampling. Procedure by which some members of a given population are selected as representatives of the entire population in terms of the desired characteristics. Types of samples: systematic samples and random samples. Systematic sampling is defined as a probability sampling method where the researcher chooses elements from target population by selecting a random starting point and selects sample members after a fixed sampling interval. Systematic sampling involves choosing your sample based on a regular interval rather than a fully random selection. It can also be used when you don't have a complete list of the population. About random samples, a simple random sample is a subset of a statistical population in which each member of the subset has an equal probability of being chosen. A simple random sample is meant to be an unbiased representation of a group. Simple random sampling is used to make statistical inference about a population. It helps ensure high interval validity. Randomization is the best method to reduce the impact of potential confounding variables. Random experiment. A random experiment is an experiment in which the outcome varies in an unpredictable fashion when the experiment is repeated under the same conditions. An experiment is an activity involving chance. Each repetition or observation of an experiment is a trial, and each possible result is an outcome. The sample space of an experiment is the set of all possible outcomes. Again, about the sample space. Sample space is a set of all possible outcomes of an experiment. It's denoted by S. If a single die rolling experiment, the sample space will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And about experiment tossing a coin once, the sample space is head and tail. Definition of an event. The event is a subset of a sample space. Here, in the experiment of rolling a die once, the sample space is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. If our event is tossing an even number, we have 3 faces, have even number, 2, 4, and 6. To calculate the probability of any event, the probability of the event A equals number of elements of the event out of number of elements of the sample space. Don't forget that the probability of the certain event or the sure event is 1, and the probability of the impossible event is 0, and the probability of the even chance is half. Also remember that the sum of the probabilities for all possible outcomes of a trial must equal 1. For example, in the experiment of tossing a coin, the sample space contains head and tail. The probability of having head half, the probability of having tail also half. The sum of these outcomes is 1. Now let's have some exercises. When rolling a die once, what is the probability that a fair die shows 1? Our sample space is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The probability of having 1 equals 1 out of 6. What is the probability that a fair die shows an even number? Probability of having even number 3 out of 6, which is half. Find the probability of green marbles. Here the total number of marbles or total possible outcomes is 10. I have 3 green marbles, then the probability of having green marble is 3 out of 10. The probability of having blue or red means both of them. Here I have 6 out of 10, which is 3 out of 5. The probability of having not yellow equals 9 out of 10. A class has 45 pupils, 15 of them are boys. If a pupil is chosen randomly, then the probability that the pupil is girl. First, let's calculate the probability if this pupil is a boy equals 15 out of 45, which is third. By subtracting the third from 1, we have the probability that this pupil is a girl. Or we have another method to calculate number of girls from beginning, which is 30. 45 minus 15, which is 30, and calculating directly the probability of having a girl, which is 30 out of 45, gives me the same result, which is 2/3. Thanks for listening, and we're gonna meet in other lessons.